What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Zinc 2.0. This blaster is a 3D printed spring power magazine fed pistol that shoots exclusively half-length darts. The ergonomics and feel and the emotional response of doing mag reloads on this thing is amazing. External overview of the Zinc 2.0 starting up at the front. There's no in-strike barrel lug, but below the muzzle is a Picatinny style pistol rail right here. This is not an in-strike tactical rail, it is a Picatinny style rail, but if you want to put on an airsoft weapon light, you totally could. Moving up right here, we have the front iron sight corresponding with the rear sights here. No in-strike or Picatinny style rail on the top of the blaster here. And the whole top of the blaster is the slide. This is a spring-powered blaster. The prime, you do that. The prime strength required is a whole lot stronger than a normal Nerf blaster, but the muzzle velocity of this thing is over 130 FPS. So that is to be expected. To shoot harder, you have to pull back a stronger spring, obviously. The prime strength is way harder than a normal Nerf blaster, but it's still a pretty smooth prime, despite this blaster being 3D printed. Initially, it was a little rough, but then it seemed to just smoothen out over time, which 3D printing kind of does that. Moving down to the trigger pull is pretty smooth, and this blaster does have slam fire, which surprised the heck out of me. It's fairly difficult to use, but it's still really cool that it's included. And behind the trigger is a magazine release present on the left-hand side. You push that, and the spring flies out of the mag well. Inside the mag well, there's a little spring right here, which catches a little notch built into every 3D printed magazine, which makes inserting the magazine a little tougher at the very end because you're fighting against that spring. But because of that, when you press the mag release, it absolutely launches the mag, which is awesome. That's great, so the magazine doesn't get caught up in the mag well, requiring a violent shake of the pistol during a fast reload. You just push the button and reload super fast. It's really tactical. To the magazines themselves, this blaster is only compatible with half-length darts. It does not shoot full-length elite darts. And there are two magazine sizes available, a 7-round mag and a 9-round mag. The 7-round mag sits flat on the bottom of a pistol like a traditional pistol mag, compared to the 9-round mag, which sticks out a little bit, but you get an extra 2 darts in there. The magazines themselves had a couple feeding hiccups because it's 3D printed. There's a lot of grit on this follower. They're for the most part okay, but if you're not feeding correctly, check the magazines. Don't necessarily blame the blaster first. It's just the nature of 3D printing. It's not as smooth as injection molded, so you might have to add some lube in there or shave away some of the follower to make it a little smoother. But inserting and removing the magazine in the Zinc 2.0 is very fun. It feels very much like a real handgun. To the grip itself, it's a little thinner than I was expecting considering it takes a magazine, but it's a very comfortable grip that feels very similar to a real pistol. It's not modeled after the Nerf pistols or the Elite pistol grips or anything like that. It's modeled after a real gun. And as an avid real steel shooter, my hands feel right at home on this blaster. And another note on the follower and the magazine, when you have an empty magazine and you try to prime this blaster, it'll lock up. On an empty magazine, you can't push the slide, so as you're firing, it's an indicator to let you know you're out. You take out the magazine and you can shut it, or you put in a full magazine and you can shut it, of course. That's made possible because of the protruding follower right there, which is a pretty cool feature. That is an external overview of the Zinc 2.0. Now I'll show you it firing. Shooting Adventure Force half-length darts. And some slam fire by holding down the trigger. Operating the Zinc 2.0 is really fun. It shoots quite accurately, very hard, and it's a smooth operator. Reloading these magazines is by far the most realistic handgun reload I've used in a Nerf gun. Not necessarily the mechanics or how it works, but your hands just feel right at home on this speed reload. It's very tactical. I got a very enjoyable, very tactical, emotional response when using this blaster. And the blaster operated as expected. I did not experience any jams or malfunctions with this blaster. And as you can see, the firing accuracy is actually really quite good, especially for a barrel length of this size. You can, when you shoot accurate darts, generally hit what you're aiming at, which is surprising. I thought this was going to be more of a prop-style blaster, but it's really quite effective. And to compare this blaster to others, I put it up on my chronograph and achieved an average velocity of 135 feet per second with Adventure Force half-length darts, which is way over the 70 FPS Elite average that we can expect from most Nerf brand blasters. This is up in that far more competitive velocity range of the Max Striker and the Nexus Pro. So that's the objective information I can provide on the Zinc 2.0, down to my personal opinion. Overall, my personal opinion is super high on this blaster. It was so much fun to shoot. It shoots hard, and it shoots really quite accurately. This magazine system is super fun to play with. The emotional response is just super tactical. I love that they put a spring in the magwell to absolutely launch the magazine when you push the mag release. That alleviated a concern of mine because it's 3D printed. I didn't want to push the magazine release and have a really rough reload. It's not rough at all. It completely ejects the magazine so you can do a speed reload really fast. And the proportions of the grip, the proportions of the whole blaster and the magazines feel very similar to a real steel pistol. As an avid firearm enthusiast, I love that. It feels right at home. It feels super tactical. Great velocity, good accuracy, solid ergonomics, and it makes you feel like John Wick. What else do you want from a foam flinging pistol? So overall opinion of the Zinc 2.0, super positive. Because their velocities and overall purpose are sort of similar, the Zinc 2.0 is comparable to the Dart Zone Mark II. My quick opinion on these two compared, the Zinc 2.0 is way better if you're into magazines and tactically reloading. I had a way better emotional response with the Zinc 2.0 because it looks like a gun, it holds like a gun, and it reloads like a gun. The Dart Zone Mark II uses this clip system to load in. Watch my review on this to explain all of it. But that's not as fast, it's not as tactical. This is great as like an emergency sidearm if you don't intend to fire more than 5 shots with it. If you're trying to get a pistol for an actual pistol round, having external box magazines is a huge advantage. However, I think the Mark II's slide is easier to prime, it's a bit smoother, and it's a little crisper to operate. It doesn't appear to emphasize the emotional response quite like the Zinc 2.0. But the Mark II is almost half the cost and comes with a really nice holster that's custom fit for the unit. So if you're just using it as an emergency backup, I think it's a more practical purchase than the Zinc 2.0. That being said, everything outside of a competitive Nerf war, I'll totally pick the Zinc 2.0. It's way more fun to play with. These magazines are just so much fun and so fast. And because it's 3D printed and it's custom made for you after you purchase it, you get to choose all your colors. Here are the colors that Frontline Foam currently offers for the Zinc 2.0. I would just strongly urge you to stick to bright colors. This thing looks remarkably realistic. Please don't just choose black or spray paint it black. Don't be dumb, guys. This type of blaster should really only be used in a private setting away from the public gaze, especially in the crazy world we live in. We don't want anyone to misunderstand what we're doing. We're just flinging foam, trying to play tag with our friends. So overall, very high opinion of the Zinc 2.0. If you'd like to purchase one of these, check out Frontline Foam, link in the description box below. And thank you very much to Frontline Foam for supporting the channel by sending over this sample unit so I could review it for you guys. That concludes my review and opinion of the Zinc 2.0, link in the description box if you want to purchase one. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, stay tactical.